Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In the series of pattern printings, in our previous videos, we have solved so many pattern printing problems. In this video, we will be solving this particular pattern printing using for loop, string concatenation, and also using string multiplication. So if you carefully observe this pattern here we not only having a single pattern, we have the combination of patterns. We can consider from this point to the above as a single pattern and from this point to above as a another pattern. So by developing these two different patterns and combining both of them, we can actually generate this whole pattern. So now what I will be doing is that first I will generate this above pattern, later I will generate this below pattern and combine both of these patterns. So let's go ahead and start developing the pattern. So first I will be taking rows to know how many number of rows user wants to print this particular pattern. For the time being, we will take the values of rows as static values. Later, we can change this rows value dynamically based on the user input. So now what I will be doing is that here, if you carefully observe this pattern, we not only have these stars in the pattern, we also having spaces. On each row, we have spaces like this. Without these spaces, we cannot actually get this desired pattern. So for that reason, I will take one more variable as spaces. So in the spaces, I will take the value as 0 because in the first row, we don't have any spaces. For that reason, I am taking the value of spaces as 0 in the first row. So what I will be doing now is that I will take a for loop for I in range. I am generating a range of values from 5 to 1. So that is what I wanted to do with this range function. I am mentioning rows to 0 and I'm on each iteration I wanted to reduce it to -1. So for that reason I am mentioning rows 0 -1. So by this what we can actually get is that I am printing the values here by using this I. So now we can actually see the values as 5 4 3 2 1. So by mentioning this with actual star, multiplying with the actual star, we can actually get the desired result as like this. But this is not what we have expected. We want spaces at the beginning, right? So for that reason I am mentioning spaces and I am multiplying the spaces with actual spaces here. By multiplying this and also by concatenating these two strings of spaces and stars, we can actually get the result. But we need to do one more thing here. So if you carefully observe here, the spaces are increasing on each iteration on each row here. So because of that reason, I will be mentioning spaces plus equal to 0 1. So by mentioning this, the spaces values will be increased on each iteration. So if I execute this, so we can actually get the desired result for the above pattern here. So now what we will be doing is that we will generate a logic to generate this below pattern. So for that reason, I will take one more for loop for j in range. I wanted to generate a range of values from 1 till how many rows that we are having. So for that reason, I am mentioning 1 rows plus 1. So by mentioning this rows plus 1, we can actually generate the values till rows. So for that reason, I have mentioned rows plus 1. So in the loop, what I will be doing is that I wanted to print spaces first, right? So you can observe the spaces here. We have four spaces, we have three spaces, we have two spaces, we have one space. Like this, the spaces are there and spaces are decreasing on each row. So for that reason, first I will mention spaces here and I will multiply the spaces with actual space that we can do, right? So I'm multiplying the spaces with actual spaces and later we want this star pattern, right? So for that reason, I am concatenating the spaces with stars. So these stars need to be of values of j. So for that reason, I am mentioning j and I am multiplying the stars with j. So at last, what I will be doing is that spaces minus equal to 1. So because we are reducing the spaces on each iteration, right? So that is what I am doing with this statement. So if I execute this, so I can able to get the similar result but not exactly the same result. Here we are having two problems here. Let us solve one after the other. So if you carefully see here, we are getting this one star two number of times, but actually we want this single star one number of time only. So because of that reason we need to remove either above star or below star. So now we will be removing this below star by mentioning 2 here. So in this range, if you can observe carefully, we are generating range of values from 1 to how many number of rows that we are having. But if we could start this range of values from 2, we can actually remove this star here. Agree? So let us execute this program. So if I execute this, I can able to remove this one which is repeating two times, but still we are not getting the similar exact pattern. So the reason is we are having the problem with spaces. So after completing of this for loop, the spaces are, I'm printing the values of spaces here. So if I print the values of spaces, we are getting 5 spaces. But what exactly we want the spaces in this row is that we want only 1, 2, 3 spaces. So actually we are getting 5 spaces. We want only 3 spaces. To reduce 5 spaces through 5 spaces to 3 spaces, I am doing spaces minus equal to 2. I am reducing the spaces to 2 number of times. By reducing this to 2 number of times, we can actually get the desired result. So I am commenting this spaces printing. So if I execute this, I can able to get the exact pattern that what we have expected. So like this, we can actually generate this pattern. If you understood this logic, well and good. If not, let me explain for you one more time. So here, first, initially, we are taking this rows variable by mentioning with 5. Later, we have identified we are also having spaces. For that reason, we have taken this spaces variable. Later, we are using this for loop to generate above pattern and this for loop to generate below pattern. In the for loop above, we are generating a range of values from how many number of rows we are having to the value 1. So by that, we can actually generate the pattern. In this print loop, what we are doing is that we are printing the pattern of spaces and stars by string multiplication and also by string concatenation. Later, we are incrementing the spaces on each iteration. Like this, we are getting this above pattern. So after that, we are generating this below pattern by this for loop. In this for loop, we are generating a range of values from the value 2 to how many number of rows that we are having. So in this print function, we are giving the values of spaces and the values of stars by concatenating the spaces and stars with this concatenation operation. So after that, on each iteration, we are reducing the spaces by 1. So by executing this, we have found a problem with the spaces. So because of that reason, we have mentioned this statement spaces minus equal to 2. By mentioning this, we are reducing the spaces 2 number of times. By this, we can actually get this pattern. So now what we will be doing is that we will take input dynamically from the user. Based on the user input, we will generate the values. So for that reason, I will take this int because I want integer value. Now I will take this input. By using this input, we can actually generate the input from the user, take input from the user. So for that, I am giving enter any number prompt. So based on this, user can identify that user wants to enter any number. So if I execute this, I am getting this enter any number. If I give the value 5 here, I am getting the pattern which is desired, that is previously. So now if I execute this program and give another number, this time I am giving the number 3. So I can able to get the similar pattern here. So I am giving the value as 80 now. So still I can able to get the pattern. So like this, with this logic, we can actually generate this pattern with any number given by the user input. So in the next video, we will generate the logic for to print this particular pattern. So if you can able to write the logic for this pattern, comment your solution in the comment section. Anyway, we will discuss the logic for this pattern in our next video. So to stay updated, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to all so that whenever I upload any video, you will get the notification. So if you found this video interesting and if you found this answer helpful, if you understood this answer, so hit the like button in the next. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.